Any ideas what this is? It's a very early microscope. In fact, it was owned by a scientist called Robert Hooke. In 1665, he used this microscope to look at cork tissue from a tree. And this is what he drew. He called the structures that he's seen cells. Thanks to his and other scientists' discoveries, we now know that all living organisms are made up from cells. Cells are sometimes referred to as the building blocks of life. Some organisms, like yeast or simple pond creatures, are only made up of one cell. Humans, on the other hand, are made up of 140 trillion cells all working together. Animal cells, such as my human cells, have specific parts that do specific jobs. These parts are called organelles. They're kind of like the organs in the body. The cell needs them to function. For your exam, there's several you need to know about. So why am I in a factory? Well, it helps to think about cells, much like a tiny factory. Each organelle, like every part of a factory, has a specific job to do. Okay, this factory has an office which has instructions, or the blueprints, for what is made in the factory. It also decides what to make and when to make it. It has a factory floor where the manufacturing happens. It has machinery for making the products. It has generators which provide the factory with the energy that it needs to function, and also the factory has doors which allow raw materials to come in and products to leave. How is this like a cell? Most animal cells have a nucleus which contains the genetic material, or DNA, that controls what the cell does. They also have cytoplasm, a gel-like substance where most chemical reactions take place. They have ribosomes, which make proteins, and mitochondria, where most reactions for respiration take place. Respiration releases energy that cells need to function. They also have a cell membrane. This controls what goes in and out of the cell. Can you match up the parts of the model cell, the factory, with the parts of a real animal cell? Well, first of all, the office of the factory is a lot like the nucleus of the cell, controlling what the cell does. The factory floor is a lot like the cytoplasm. This is where everything seems to happen. The machinery is a lot like the ribosomes. This is where some of the products of the cell are produced. The generators are similar to the mitochondria. These release energy, much like the generators release energy for the factory. The doors are like the cell membrane. They control what goes in and what comes out. These are plant cells. They tend to be much bigger than animal cells, but they contain lots of the same organelles. Can you spot which ones are the same in plant cells as they are in animal cells? Plant cells also contain some organelles that animal cells don't. Here are three that you need to know about. First of all, plant cells have a cell wall. This is a surrounding layer made of cellulose that helps support the cell. They also contain a permanent vacuole. A vacuole contains cell sap, which is mainly made up of water, sugar, and salts. As well as these, they also have chloroplasts, which contain a green pigment called chlorophyll that's used to absorb light during photosynthesis. Photosynthesis helps the plant make food. Bacteria are very small, single-celled organisms, and their cells are quite different to plant and animal cells. It's clear straight away that they don't have a nucleus. Their genetic material consists of a circular strand of DNA that's found in the cytoplasm. They do, however, have cytoplasm, a cell membrane, and a cell wall, although the cell wall isn't made of cellulose. Let's take a look at some other features of a bacterial cell. They have plasmids, which are small loops of extra DNA that can contain useful genes, such as genes for antibiotic resistance. They can sometimes have a flagellum, which is a long, whip-like structure that rotates. This allows the bacterium to move. Yeast is an example of a single-celled organism that you should be aware of. It's neither an animal or a plant or a bacterial cell. It's actually a type of single-celled fungus. Yeast cells have the following features. They have a nucleus, cytoplasm, a cell membrane, and they contain a fungal cell wall. This is different to plant and bacterial cell walls. They can also contain vacuoles.